Across India, households are now facing a 25-day waiting period for a single refill of cooking gas. When that red LPG cylinder finally arrives, it comes with a sudden 60 rupee price hike. This local pressure is the direct result of global crude oil prices surging to $120 per barrel. For a nation that imports the vast majority of its energy, a spike of this scale instantly adds billions to the annual national import bill. The roots of this inflation lie 3,000 kilometers away, at a massive military strike. In a globalized economy, the physical impact of a bomb dropped in the Middle East is felt most acutely inside the Indian kitchen. On February 28, 2026, the United States and Israel launched Operation Epic Fury. It was a massive preemptive campaign designed to settle a decades-long standoff with Iran in a single night. The assault hit two fronts. It targeted Iran's deeply buried nuclear infrastructure and its highest level of government. State media confirmed that the primary target, Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, was killed in the strikes. Iran's retaliation was immediate and strategic. They moved to close the Strait of Hormuz, a geographic bottleneck that handles 91% of India's LPG and 88% of its crude oil. By choking off this single maritime corridor, Iran successfully paralyzed global supply chains and triggered a systemic shock to the world's energy markets. The path to this conflict began with the 1979 Islamic Revolution. That movement transformed Iran from a Western-aligned monarchy into a theocracy defined by its resistance to outside influence. For decades, Tehran fought a shadow war using a network known as the Axis of Resistance. By funding groups like Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis, Iran could strike at U.S. and Israeli interests through proxies, avoiding the risks of a direct state-on-state confrontation. Diplomacy failed to bridge the gap. The 2015 JCPOA deal, which briefly limited Iran's nuclear program, collapsed after the United States unilaterally withdrew in 2018. Washington then initiated a maximum pressure campaign, using heavy sanctions to isolate the Iranian economy. Deprived of sanctions relief, Iran began accelerating its uranium enrichment. By late 2025, intelligence reports warned that Iran was just weeks away from achieving a nuclear weapons breakout. The regional math changed following the October 2023 attacks and the 2025 12-day war. U.S. and Israeli strategists shifted from fighting the arms of the Iranian network to targeting the mastermind directly. To reach Iran's atomic facilities, Operation Epic Fury deployed specialized bunker buster munitions. These explosives are designed to plunge deep into the earth before detonating, reaching facilities buried hundreds of feet beneath solid rock. These strikes hit the core of Iranian program, devastating sprawling, isolated complexes at Natanz and Fordo. Operation Epic Fury effectively ended the era of proxy skirmishes. Forced into a corner, Iran launched unprecedented direct ballistic missile attacks against U.S. military installations across the Persian Gulf. This escalation proves that regional actors can now exert massive international leverage by weaponizing specific trade choke points. For India, the fallout hit three critical areas at once. It paralyzed the domestic energy supply, left high-value exports like basmati rice stranded at sea, and placed 20,000 Indian seafarers directly in a war zone. To manage the shock, the Indian government invoked the Essential Commodities Act. Natural gas was diverted from major industrial hubs, like the Morbi tile sector, simply to ensure that priority households could keep their stoves running. The breakdown of international mediation means that for import-dependent nations, a regional spark now leads inevitably to a systemic economic crisis. India responded by pivoting its energy strategy, securing U.S. waivers to purchase Russian oil that had been stranded at sea to stabilize its domestic market. To protect trade directly, the Indian Navy deployed an independent maritime protection group. These warships now provide armed escorts for civilian tankers, projecting hard naval power to secure the country's energy lifelines. Long-term, India is working to reduce its reliance on maritime choke points by accelerating land-based trade routes, specifically the India-Middle East-Europe economic corridor. But those corridors will take a decade to fully materialize. Until then, as long as the Strait of Hormuz remains a contested corridor, the fires of the Middle East will continue to dictate the cost of survival in kitchens across the globe.